Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Kelly. This video is long overdue because I finished Americorps in August and I've just been kind of chilling, thinking about making this video but not really sure when or how to go about it. And when I was done with Americorps, I was so angry, and so I didn't want to just put out an angry rant. I wanted to think about it a little bit more for a minute before posting about it, just because my purpose for this video isn't to make anyone decide not to do Americorps or decide to do it. I'm just going to tell you guys my experience, and hopefully it helps, because I only saw a couple YouTube videos about Americorps that weren't like sponsored or just people being interviewed about it. So I just wanted to tell my own experience. So that's the point of this video. If you don't know what Americorps is, it is a program where you serve America. It sounds very military, but it's not. I feel like they would like to think they are, but they're not. And you join. There's an application process and you do interviews, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But once you're in, you're paired up with a nonprofit organization, and that's who you essentially serve. You're not allowed to say you work for them. You serve them. And it's not quite volunteering because you do get paid a little bit. Not a lot at all. So it's kind of hard to explain to people who aren't in the program what it is, but that's what it is. You get a stipend, a living stipend, which we'll also go into, and how much mine was and how that worked. So I'll just tell you guys a little bit about myself and my situation when I joined. So I was living here in North Dakota with my family. I had moved back from Florida. I also did Disney College program. I just love a program. I love an experience. But in the future, I would love to do like a reality show experience. Like all these jobs, internships, not really for me, but I love going new places and meeting new people. So that's what kind of drew me to both Disney College program and Americorps. And I did a whole video about my Disney College program experience. It's up on here. I had to quit early because I got sick, but you can watch that if you feel like it. If you don't feel like it, it's okay. It might not apply to you. Those are two different options where you can like leave and then work and make barely any money. That's just what it is. So I had come back from Disney. I was sick, so I just kind of stayed at my parents' house for a little bit. And I'm back at my parents' house now because of the pandemic, but that's what was up. I was 23 when I applied, but then I had my 24th birthday and then I went. So 24 years old doing this. I do not think there's an age limit for it. There might be for the Vista program. I think there's an age limit. And there's an age limit for City Year, which is, I don't know if it's attached to Americorps, but it's a different type of service opportunity where you work in the schools, and there is an age limit for that one. And that's what I also looked into. I think the cutoff is 24 years old for that one. It might be 25, but I was kind of getting up there, and it's a bigger commitment because it's a full school year. And so I decided to not. But anyways, there's a lot of different opportunities in Americorps to do a lot of different things. The girls video who I watched, she was working with environmental issues. Not really. she told me what she did in the video, or she told everybody what she was doing in the video, but I don't really understand. That's not really my thing. I do recycle when I remember to. And that's pretty much that. I know I suck, but I do believe in global warming, so at least I don't suck that bad. And I am wearing my Smokey the Bear Forest Fire shirt. But that's pretty much it. Like, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. And I need to do better and like look into these environmental issues more, but that's an option. You can work with environmental issues. You can work with refugees. You can work in healthcare. But I chose education. The reason I chose education, well, I'm gonna be real, is because that's what was open at the time. So this was in January. Around Christmas was when I had my interview. And then I think I did another one around like New Year's. But that's kind of how that went. And I wanted to leave right away. Like, it was about to be 2020. I thought this was my year. And I just really wanted to get out of this town. I was really just in a funk, depressed, not feeling it. I get really bad seasonal anxiety, and I'm experiencing it currently. Nothing really that bad with this town, and my family is here, so I will always have roots here. I just kind of consider my time here like home base until I figure out the next move. Now, I might be staying here a little bit longer this time around because of school and finishing school and all that. But this is like home base. So I was like, I'm done at home. I'm ready to like go out and do something else. But I don't have any money. I don't have any money. So that's when I decided to look into Americorps. My mom had been telling me about it since I was like a senior in high school because college wasn't really calling my name. I did go to college anyways. I can make a whole video about that. But that was kind of what we were thinking for me after high school. It was an option then. I kind of looked into it a little bit. But I decided to go to college instead. And then I dropped out of school, came back here, did Disney, like I did a lot. And then I was just like, okay, what's next? So I looked into programs in Arizona just because my seasonal depression is so bad, you guys. I needed to go somewhere hot. I needed to go somewhere where it wasn't gonna like rain. They do have their monsoon season, but that's not while I was there. And I did think about living there after Americorps. It didn't work out because I couldn't find a job due to the pandemic. And it was kind of late to get an apartment. So that happened. And then also I had issues with like enrolling in school down there. So I didn't end up staying, but I went in thinking, you know, maybe I would. That might be somewhere I wanted to live. So there are sites all across America where they need people. So if you have a town where you would like to work in, you definitely can search that up. Like if it's like LA, New Orleans, New York, like you can find something anywhere basically. Like the rural communities, there are opportunities there as well. You just need to look for them. So I was between Phoenix and Tucson, but Tucson was really what was speaking to me. And I think it's just because it's more of a small town vibe, but it is like a bigger city. And I'm from a small town, so I didn't want to be like culture shocked like right away. And was I culture shocked when I got there? A little bit, but it wasn't too extreme. So I am glad that I chose Tucson over Phoenix. But yeah, it was just different. Like, I'm very like open. So that's another tip. Like, if you're a very open person and you go into it open-minded, you should be fine. Yes, of course, culture shock, it is a thing if you're going somewhere completely different from where you're from. Of course, you're going to be a little disoriented. But as long as you're open to experiencing something new and learning about different cultures other than your own, and just kind of vibing with them, like, you'll be fine. Yeah. I think that sometimes people do quit. A lot of people quit from my group. But it's just because they don't really immerse themselves. I didn't immerse myself very much in my program, but I did in the city. Like, I made friends in the city, and that was really important to me. So I felt some type of way about the city. I feel like I'll always have like a special place in my heart for Tucson and my time there. Americorps, not so much, and we're about to get into that. So basically, I'll just go back to the beginning. Sorry, there was a lot of like rambling right away, but I applied for a position to actually help with taxes. The reason I did that was because I like doing my own taxes. This year was a total bitch because I filed them over and over again and it kept getting rejected. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is good that I didn't get the tax position because apparently I can't even do my own taxes. But it was to help people in low income areas do their taxes, get their money back. They deserve it. It's theirs. A lot of people don't file because they don't know how to. They don't have the resources, or they don't speak English, or like whatever the case may be. So that was one position that I had applied for, but it was filled. By the time I hit submit, they had decided to go with somebody else. But the recruiter did call me and say, hey, I really like your application. If you're interested in other positions, we have them open. I'll just send them to you and you can pick which ones you would like to apply for and we'll consider you for those positions. So I was like, okay, bet. And then there was one that was like a festival of books. And I think they just go around the community and like there's books for children and like they can pick them, like basically like bootleg Scholastic book fair. Like I think that was the vibe for that one, and I'm like, that sounds really cool. Because I always loved to read when I was a kid. I love storytelling. Clearly I'm on YouTube. Anything like that, like I'm into. And then she hit me with the, sorry, that one's actually taken care of as well, but I would like you to apply for Chicanos por la Causa, which is a Chicano organization to help the Mexican American community in Tucson. It is a really good organization. I have nothing bad to say about them. Everyone I met there was amazing. They inspired me to do better because they came to work every day like ready. They were all really good at their jobs, really kind, really welcoming people. I'm a little more shy, a little bit more reserved, but they're always just the nicest to me. And so I want to make that very clear. Any issues I have with Americorps is not anything to do with CPLC. Nothing. I have nothing bad to say about them. And they're a wonderful organization. So, but that's the position she wanted me to apply for. And I'm not Mexican, so I was a little hesitant to apply. But I did read the job description and it didn't say anything about being Mexican. It just said about the position, which was being at a high school with kids ages 14 to 24 because it's an alternative school. These are just kids who need to graduate. Mentor them, help them figure out areas where they're struggling in and areas what are strengths for them, so you can encourage them to keep it going, and just kind of be there. And you know what? The position did interest me the more I read about it, but I was kind of hesitant because I'm like, I don't want to go in to this school and then be like, oh, this white lady is trying to tell me what to do, and I don't really know. That was definitely something that made me hesitant to even apply. I thought it shouldn't be me. But the problem with that mindset is that I'm who applied, and they had an interview with me. They interviewed a lot of people, and I'm who they chose. I think it would be different if it was Americorps, because it wasn't just one interview with Americorps and then that's where they put me. I also did interview with the organization themselves. So it was their final say and if they were going to take me or not. So that made me feel a little bit better about it. And then when I got there, I realized that it was a very diverse community. Like, it's not just about the Mexican community anymore. It's about, well, it is about serving them, of course, 100%. But people on staff were from all different backgrounds. So, yes, it was majority Mexican American, but there was also diversity on staff, Asian Americans, there were African Americans, there was white people, Jews, like me. Like, it was just, everybody. So, it was fine. But that was something that was a big concern for me. I'm like, I don't want to come here and, like, gentrify. Like, that's not what I want to do. So, yeah. That was a big concern for me. And I do think that Americorps does gentrify sometimes. I'm not going to lie. I didn't want them to put me, a white person, in a place I didn't belong. That's all I'm saying. But if you respect them, you respect their cause, you're for their cause, you want to learn about the community, like, they, respect you in return. And I mean, that's that. So yeah, that was like a concern for me, but I mean, I realized that I did want to help the kids, and to me, like, I had to realize where they were coming from, and I had to realize they have certain struggles being people of color that I never had in high school. But I also had to realize that some of the issues that they're going through are the same issues that I went through. Dealing with anxiety, dealing with not wanting to go to school, fighting with other classmates, not vibing with teachers. Some of those things you're going to see in every single high school. And when I was younger, I hated going to school. I skipped all the time. It was just a really hard experience for me. So I connected on that level. And, it is what it is. So that's kind of how I ended up working there. And I only, you're not supposed to say worked there. We'll get into it. So after the interviews and everything, they were like, okay, well, we're gonna have you, you and one other person, and so be ready to move out here in like a month. And I was like, okay, we're really doing this. So I was really excited for this new chapter. Nervous, like I said, I had my reservations, but pack my things, and we got on that plane and we left. And it was not easy getting there, I will tell you that, because Tucson's airport, it doesn't really have a lot of direct flights from my airport here in North Dakota, but that's mostly on North Dakota because we're all the way out here. So I had to fly from Fargo, which is an hour away, which is actually where I'm gonna be moving next, but possibly, allegedly. No solid plans yet. But yeah, an hour away. And then there was a snowstorm the day I was supposed to leave, so my flight had to get changed. And I was so nervous. I was like, oh my god, they're gonna hate me, like blah blah blah. But they're like, nah, we're gonna switch your orientation date. Like, don't even worry. So I was like, whew, okay. And then the next problem was that the apartment I was moving into, there was really no way for me to get there before the office closed because of when my flight was. So I flew from Fargo to Mesa, Arizona, and just because we couldn't even get to Tucson from Fargo. And Mesa's like an hour away. And I was supposed to rent a car. So I reserved this car, but I didn't realize that I had to have a credit card to rent it. I put the money on my debit when I was like reserving it, but when I got there, they're like, we actually need a credit card. And I was like, shit, why did you let me reserve it without a credit card if I like need one now all of a sudden? It was nighttime. It was like 11 midnight. It was really late and I had nowhere to go. I tried to call my parents and they didn't answer because they were sleeping because it's a different time zone. And I cried for like 1 minute, like literally 1 minute. That's me when I cry. Like I cry like kind of hard and kind of ugly, but only lasts for 1 minute. So I was like, and then I was like, no, bitch. I'm a Capricorn. Like, we're gonna thug it out. So I decided that I was gonna just work the problem. Parents are not here. I just need to boss up and figure this out. So what I did was I got a hotel room for the night, got my money back from reserving that car. Ridiculous. So the car was gonna be like a $50 rental, got a $50 hotel room, balanced out, like whatever. But this hotel was in a real sketchy area. The reason I got this hotel was because it was next to the Greyhound station. So the next day I was gonna get on the Greyhound and go to Tucson. I have ridden Greyhounds like a lot. That does not bother me. I know some people are like, ew, the bus. But buses for me are kind of like a second home. Like, I know that sounds really weird. But when I was in college, I would take the bus all the time. In Florida, I would take the bus all the time. Even when I was in high school here in this little ass town, I would take the bus because I didn't have a car. So buses don't bother me. In college, I would take Greyhounds all the time, going back and forth for like holiday vacations. So it didn't bother me. Just get your audiobook, podcast, music, put it on, zone out until you get there. So got the Greyhound. It's super cheap anyways. So I would just stay in Mesa, and then I wouldn't even need an Uber in the morning. I would just walk across the street with like my suitcase, all my belongings, whatever, and then get on and then get to Tucson. So the Uber driver picks me up, and the first thing that happens is she sees another Uber driver give her the finger, and so she decides to approach him and confront him. And I'm just like sitting in the back of the Uber, like I just had a full day of travel. It's like 11 and I'm just like, and she's like, I'm sorry about that, but that had to happen. And I was like, it's okay. And then she's like, so the area you're going in is not the best. There's a lot of prostitutes out there. So if you need something, you should get it right now. I can stop at 7-Eleven. I can stop anywhere, but just know you're gonna be there all night. If you need food, water, anything, get it now. And my ass is just like, I'm good. It's fine. I just didn't want to be in the Uber longer with this lady. And so we get to the hotel, sign in. I have my big ass suitcases, and they're like, just so you know, any visitors you have need to register at the front desk. If they do not, you will be kicked out for the night. They thought I was literally a prostitute. Like, it was just like, the lady in the Uber was not lying. But it was fine. I just stayed in my room until the morning. I could not sleep though because in the ceiling of the freaking motel room, there was just like this big hole, and I was like afraid of someone like coming down. It was just a lot, but it was fine actually. Like, I barely slept anything, but got a little bit of sleep. Woke up and it was time to go. So I took my big ass suitcases and walked across the street, and I'm just chilling. I'm just waiting to get on this Greyhound. And then a kid who was like my age came up to me and he's like, I just need $15. We need to stay in this hotel one more night. Like, people were really poor in this area, and the only reason I'm telling you guys this, I don't want to like brag about giving people money or anything. That is not my thing. I could have been scammed or whatever, but I trusted him, and my mom had given me a card before I left, and in it there was $15. Like, it was such a random amount of money. Like, Mom, why can't you give me a 20? You know, if you're being cheap, why can't you give me a 10? Like, 15 is such a random number. So the fact that he said 15, I was like, nope, we're doing this. So dig into my bag, had so much stuff in it, was taking like stuff out, and then I'm like, here you go. Like, God bless, good luck. Hope he's doing good. But the reason I included that in was just kind of because like the numbers lining up was weird. And then also my bus ticket number was 714, which is my lucky number. So I don't know if you believe in that kind of thing, but for me, I was like, okay, this is an experience I'm supposed to be having, and there's synchronicities, so I felt good about it. We get into Tucson. It is a very pretty city, and even on the highways when you're driving, you can see more of like the mountains and like all that. It's very pretty. So yeah, I just go. And I got an apartment with American Campus Communities. They have a lot of apartments off campus for students. Now, I wasn't really a student. I took like one class, but I wanted to be with people like around my age. Now, I was 24, so most college students were younger than me. I was the oldest in the apartment, but they were all like 20, 21. And so yeah, I was older, but it is what it is. And when I got there, like, my roommate, like, she gave me a hug. She's like, oh, I'm so happy you're here. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. Because they have been living with each other for a while, so I felt kind of awkward going in. But she was really nice. The roommates are really nice. Nothing to say about them either. Like, it was fine. And yeah, we were just chilling. You know, it was January, so we were renegading. Like, a little bit. Like, that's how that went. And yeah, the next day or week or whatever, like, I started Americorps. I had my orientation. You gotta give an oath saying, I will get things done for America. And they told us about like their mission, and that's to like decrease poverty. The problem I have with that mission is that they don't pay us enough. So we'll get into the stipend. The stipend is based on how many hours you do throughout the whole program. So it's not hours per week, it's hours per program, which is a little problematic because they have me there working 30 hours a week, but I will only make $900 a month after taxes. Because yes, they take out taxes. So, yeah, you get paid every other week. I think it was $450. Not a lot, not enough. So I couldn't get a car. I had to take the bus everywhere. But like I said, I didn't really have a problem with that. It actually worked out pretty well. But I will get into this. I was one of the only bus riders. Like, everyone else had a car. Like, it was really shitty, because a lot of them lived at home, or lived with, like, they're married and so they live with their spouse and then they could kind of like help them, or their parents were helping them or whatever the case was. But that was not my case. Like, I was very much supporting myself and not even asking for help, because I moved out there, I was like, I want to prove that I can make it. But it got really hard at times, because it was hard to get a second job. I got a second job for like a month at Popeyes, but it was hard because I was tired after my long days. Like, even though they were only 6-hour shifts, I would go an hour and a half early in the morning, take an hour and a half to get back. So they were long days for me, because of the bus. So it sucked. And then to go to a job after that, it was just not really happening. So I only lasted like a month at Popeyes. But yeah, so my only income was that stipend. So my rent was $600, only had $300 after that. Didn't save anything because groceries and the bus pass. They want you to apply for SNAP so they can say that you have assistance or whatever, but my SNAP wasn't approved until 2 or 3 months before I left, and my Medicaid wasn't approved until 2 or 3 months before I left. So yeah, it's flawed, and they're not actually taking care of their people the way they say they are. So the pay was like a really big problem, and it was something that I always resented them for, unfortunately. Going in, you do understand that you're not going to get paid, and it's really about like the experience, but at the same time, nobody likes to be screwed over, and we were doing real work for them, and for them to just sit back and say that their goal for us is to decrease poverty in America, well, at the same time, they're creating more poverty with us and putting us on government assistance, which, listen, not against government assistance. I'm still on Medicaid. And it's good. And, like, healthcare for all. Like, I'm very much for that. But that's not the point. Like, the point is that they're trying to eliminate the need for all this and help us, or we're trying to help other people get jobs. Like, I was trying to help the teenagers get jobs. They were getting jobs where they got paid more than me, which is good. Like, I want them to make more than me. I want them to have money for the things they need, reach their goals. But it was just really awkward, because it's like, I don't know. It was just a weird dynamic. And I feel like they could have been paying us more. They just didn't want to. And their excuse is that we want you to understand what it's like to be poor. But the problem was that the people who we were working with who were poor were making more money than us. So we are not getting their experience. We're getting like worse than it, because at least they're making minimum wage. I guess the only experience that would be similar was if we were somebody on unemployment. It would be like a similar thing. We were getting paid, but we were working. So it was a very weird dynamic. And they made us sign a waiver that said that we're not employed, but we're taking this vow, so we cannot accept unemployment payments. So I don't really know. Like, it was just so bad. And I think the more you think about it, like, the worse your experience is gonna be, because you're gonna be mad. And yeah, I don't want to discourage anyone from doing it, but just know that they're screwing you over. Like, they are. And it's not all about money, but everyone needs their basic needs met. Everybody does. Yeah, it is eye-opening to know what it's like to be poor, but I knew before that. Like, so I was just like, this is an unnecessary experience. I'm sorry. I should have just interned at CVLC or interned at a nonprofit. Because that's the experience I was looking for, not the whole vow of poverty thing. Because it's whack and it's privilege to say, I'm taking a vow of poverty. Like, that is so fucking privileged. Like, right now, technically, I'm taking a vow of poverty because I'm not working that much. Because it's a pandemic and there's not an hour, you know? But whatever. That was the big thing that kind of annoyed me with them. And then another thing is that I feel like this is gonna be so controversial, this video, but whatever, letting it all out. Everyone there, okay, let's stop generalizing. A lot of people there were super liberal. I'm liberal. I'm a Democrat. Like, what's up? Leg 2020, if you know that reference, love you. But like, they took it to the next level. I don't know. Like, my problem is that I pick a side because I have to pick a side. It's the social issues and human rights issues that get me, and that's why I get involved. And I stay informed politically. It's because I'm for healthcare for all. I'm for women being able to decide what they want to do with their own bodies. I'm for supporting the LGBT community. I'm for not separating children from their parents at the borders, like, and not having kids in cages. I'm for not killing people. Like, the police should not be killing people. They should not be killing Black people. They shouldn't be killing anybody. I'm for Black Lives Matter. Like, those are like the issues I care about. Immigration. I care about just all the human rights. So that's why I pick the side I pick. And it's not my whole identity though. And I feel like the people in this group decide to make it like their whole identity, which I'm not really for. Like, I think that your identity should be outside of your political affiliation, but these people were like living and like breathing sustainability and I think it's called being crunchy. Like, oh my god, like, I feel like you couldn't say anything without like maybe being judged around them. And even though I did have a lot of the same opinions and beliefs, like, I just feel like the way they talked, it's like they're like higher than you. And that if you don't know everything about everything and every issue, you're wrong, or like you're bad. And like, it made me not want to speak up in like group discussions and everything. And I don't know, they all had like their ugly sandals and their like hydro flasks, and like, that was that. I'm such a fucking bitch. Like, but that's kind of how I felt. Like, I felt like I didn't fit in. I guess this is where I'm going with this. And it kind of felt like it was a little bit of a competition with them. If you don't use the right language, it's like, excuse you. I don't know. Like, there was definitely, it felt like there was like secret codes and like everything. And like, I'm just trying to live, and I'm very much live and let live, and they're kind of like my way. I don't know. It was just a lot. And I feel like they thought they were making more of a difference than they actually were. All this is just like a bunch of white ass people doing the fucking cha-cha slide on poverty. Like, and thinking, dang, we're doing something. Like, I'm sure people are, and they're not. Like, a lot of times I would just sit in the office, like, not really doing a whole lot of anything. So I don't know. And then, okay, so then the pandemic hit, and it went online. So I was starting to make graphics. I wasn't really interacting with the students very much anymore. I was like helping with their social media, making graphics, like that kind of thing. My experience is very weird because it did have like the pandemic. And I only had like 1-2 months normal. So yeah, that kind of sucked. But that's pretty much it. Like the rest of the year I just worked on their social media pages. And that was that. But the civil unrest, the protests started happening, and Americorps had no response. It was literally silent. And that's when I lost respect for them. I think they might have responded like half-ass like weeks later, but they didn't really seem to care enough for me. They didn't, give us a statement. Like a couple people did reach out and say, hey, if you want to talk about anything, like we're here for you. But that was one of like the leaders, not even like a higher up leader, but like lower down. She just did that, which respect for her, but didn't hear anything about it. They didn't acknowledge the killings of Breonna Taylor, George Floyd. They just kind of swept it under the rug, like it didn't happen. But meanwhile, on their social media, they like to post pics of people of color, of Black people, just to show how diverse we were, but we really weren't that diverse. It was mostly white people, like I'm going to be real. So yeah, I just felt like they were kind of hypocritical, and I did tell them this at my like exit interview. I'm like, you want to act like you're really inclusive and like this and that, but when the shit hit the fan, you were nowhere to be found. And their other thing is like they don't want to get political, but this isn't political. Like this is a human rights issue. So take that how you want to take it, but I just thought it was really telling. And so anyways, that was my Americorps experience. I did not get all my hours in because of the pandemic, but they were able to exit me out and still allow me to have a completion certificate, because there is no way I was able to get any of those hours and still get my Siegel, what is that number texting me? Siegel Education Award, which is like a scholarship that I can use towards school. But there is a catch, because there's always a catch. When you complete your program, you get the Siegel Award. That was like one of the things for me that kind of pushed me to do it, because I do want to finish college. Bitch, are you ready? They tax it too. So you don't get the full amount they're telling you get. It's taxed. So about $1,000 off of it. It's $3,000. You get $2,000. Like, we love. So yeah, would I do it again? No. Should you do it? Up to you. Do you live with your parents? That might be something maybe. Are you gonna do it in your town? Are you gonna have another job? It's hard, but you can do it. And then are you really passionate about the place where you're going to be working at? I thought that, yeah, maybe I would work in nonprofit in the future, but all the jobs I applied for do not give a flying fuck that I did Americorps. They just don't. I've had interviews and it's just like, it's misunderstood. They're like, what is that? Like, they don't understand what it is. And so that's kind of that. It's not really recognized as much as they would like you to believe it is. And my completion of Americorps doesn't mean shit to them. My civic leadership certificate that I got through them doesn't mean shit. So yeah, I haven't been able to find a job, at least from doing this experience in similar fields has not opened any doors for me. I'm back at my old job I worked at before, and I'm door dashing, and that's pretty much that. Like, I wish it ended differently. I'm really happy that I experienced Tucson and made my friends there. That's pretty much it. Like, that's the experience. Like, it wasn't the worst, but it wasn't the best, and they make it seem like it's something it's not. Like, watch me like get a cease and desist from this, but it is what it is. I don't know. Hope you got something from this, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.